Hey guys, today we got kind of an interesting video today, interesting vlog, and it's about expats who lack emotional maturity often display these 8 behaviors without realizing it. This is an article. I've changed it from people to expats because I'm going to give my own 2 cents worth on this. And I have a lot of articles that I've kind of picked to kind of add in our own little take on this stuff. My glasses are going to give you guys a little bit of glare, but nothing I can do about that. I'm going to be reading a lot off of this, and I'm going to be commenting and adding in my own stuff on this too. It's written by a woman by the name of Nuyet Yen Tran, and it's an interesting article, okay, about behaviors that often show people who lack emotional maturity often display, and it's something, it's interesting to say the least. And I'm going to go over this, like I said, add my 2 cents worth. And I'm going to start reading it from the beginning to the end. And like I said, I'll add in my little ditties here and there. Okay, and it starts off, it says, I've been there and you probably have been there too. We've all interacted with someone who just doesn't seem to have it together emotionally. Maybe they fly off the handle at the smallest thing or seem to be forever stuck in the cycle of negativity. And we've all had those issues. I've been stuck in this spot for like months and months on end recently because of things there's like a lot of negativity from things that have happened in my past and stuff like that. And I've kind of been stuck there a little bit too, trying to get out of that, and people keep on throwing things from the past at you and you got to kind of explain everything. And it kind of sucks to be in that spot. But she goes on to write, it's easy to brush these people off as just being difficult, but what if there's something deeper going on? And that's what I was just talking about. It's easy. Sometimes it's not that these folks intentionally trying to be a pain. Instead, they might just lack emotional maturity, or the worst part, they probably don't even realize it. And don't worry, I'm here to guide you through the telltale behaviors of those who might be lacking emotional maturity. In this article, we're going to explore 8 behaviors that indicate someone who might need a little help in this department, even if they don't see it themselves. So buckle up. This could be a game changer, she says. The first one is they struggle to control their emotions. We see that in a lot of expats over here, to be honest with you. I see it quite often anyway with some of the expats. And it's not all expats. I don't want to paint everybody with a broad brush, and I'm not doing that here. I just want people to understand that, and a lot of people that live over here will tell you there's a lot of expats over here that bring a lot of issues with them, okay? And it might take a year for it to come out. It might take 6 months. It might take 3 months. And we're all here with our issues. Let's face it. We all struggle with our own emotions and issues and psychological issues and stuff like that. And I just want to say that straight out, okay? Everybody's, there's nobody that's perfect. Number one, they struggle to control their own emotions. We all have emotions. We all have moments where our emotions get the best of us. It's human nature after all. But for those lacking in emotional maturity, these moments are far more frequent. They might fly off the handle at the slightest provocation or dissolve it into fears over something that seems relatively minor. The thing is, emotional maturity is all about understanding and managing your emotions. It's about recognizing when you're really feeling upset, angry, or hurt, and knowing how to handle those feelings in a productive way. When someone lacks this maturity, their emotions can seem like a roller coaster. 1 minute they're fine, the next they're full-blown meltdown. Now, we have had our share of expats that have passed through here that go into meltdown mode pretty fast. I've seen it this past week, for that matter. Some people lack patience over here. It's a big issue. And the worst part, they probably don't even realize they're doing it. To them, it's just how they react to things. But to everyone else, it's a clear sign that they might need a little help navigating their emotional landscape, okay? Then we go on to number 2. They don't take responsibility for their actions. Okay, that's a huge one over here. She says, I'll be the first to admit that I've been guilty of this, and I'll say that too. I've been, it's easy to blame others when things go wrong, or to play victim when life gets tough. It's a lot harder to look into the mirror and admit that just maybe, you're part of the problem. And she goes on to write, she says, people who lack emotional maturity often struggle with this concept. They might always be blaming their boss for their job woes, their neighbor, another expat or what have you, or their partner for their relationship troubles. They might complain about their friends, their family, or even the weather, But here's the thing. Life is full of challenges and obstacles. We face them. And while it's true that sometimes we're dealt a bad hand, more often than not, how we respond to these challenges is within our control. And that's the key right there, is it's within your control. A lot of expats have lost control. A lot of people in the world have lost control. And it goes for everybody, Filipinos, Americans. We all are in control of who we are. And if we have to keep a tight grip on that sometimes, because sometimes we lose who we are. And she goes on to say, someone who lacks emotional maturity will often fail to see this. They'll see themselves as a victim of circumstance rather than as an active participant in their own life. It's not that they're bad people or even they're intentionally shirking responsibility. It's just that they haven't yet learned the importance of taking ownership of their actions and their decisions. And that says a lot right there, and we see a lot of that. Number 3, they struggle with empathy. I think some expats over here struggle with empathy for people that are going through situations over here. We've seen some expats go through some tough stuff, and people disappear when something happens. I'm lucky that I'm surrounded with a good group of people here that are pretty empathic, and when I was going through some tough things, people were there for me, and I really kind of found out who my friends were. I really did. And sometimes, you find out who your friends aren't too. So this one here, they like, it's number 3, they struggle with empathy. There was this one time I remember a friend was going through a tough breakup. They were hurting and all they needed was someone to listen. But instead of lending a sympathetic ear, I found myself trying to fix their problem. I offered advice, suggested solutions, and even tried to cheer them up, all without really understanding what they were going through. Okay, and it took me a while to realize, this is what she's writing, that what I was doing wasn't helpful. Instead of offering comfort, I was actually making my friend feel more isolated because I wasn't truly empathizing with their pain. Think about that for a second. You really have to kind of, empathy is a funny thing there. It's you really have to show that you're empathic. Some people think that they're empathic and they're not. This is a common trait with people who lack emotional maturity. They struggle to understand and share feelings of others. It's not that they're uncaring or selfish. It's just that they haven't developed the ability to truly put themselves in someone else's shoes. That's key right there. Empathy is a part of emotional maturity. It allows us to build deeper connections with others and helps us navigate social situations more effectively. But for those lacking emotional maturity, empathy can be a difficult concept to grasp. And that's true. Number 4, they have a hard time dealing with criticism. This one here hits a lot of expats, I'll tell you right now. When you try to talk to somebody about something, I notice expats don't like criticism at all. And you can be as nice as you want to some expats, and they're going to tell you where to go. It's just when I think when people get older, they become these old codgers that you just can't, you know what I mean? And I look at some of the older guys in their 60s and 70s, mostly in the 70s, that they have a hard time dealing with criticism. That's a big one over here in the Philippines as far as expats. It's not everybody, but it seems to be like the older crew over here seems to have a hard time dealing with that. And she goes on to write, did you know that our brains are actually wired to react negatively to criticism? That's true. When we receive negative feedback, our brains interpret it as a threat and trigger a defensive response. For people with emotional maturity, they're able to override this instinct and view criticism as an opportunity for growth. They can take it on board, assess its validity, and make changes if necessary. It's a good thing to do that sometimes. I listen to people, but I know sometimes when people's trying to manipulate me or gaslight me too. So you have to be kind of careful of listening to people sometimes. On the other hand, those lacking emotional maturity often struggle with this. Criticism, even if it's constructive, can be seen as a personal attack instead of considering the feedback. They get defensive, lash out, or even completely shut down. This isn't easy because they're stubborn or don't want to improve. It's just their emotional toolkit doesn't yet include the ability to handle criticism in a healthy way. This can limit their personal growth and create tension in their relationships. And that's very true. A lot of guys over here do not like hearing any criticism, and they don't take it very well. Number 5, they're stuck in their comfort zone. Wow. This one here, that hits home with a lot of expats over here. A lot of expats get stuck in their comfort zone, and sometimes comfort zones clash over here because everybody come over here to be in their comfort zone and to have freedom over here. And this is coming from me. I'll say this, that when comfort zones clash, it's really tough, but anyway, they're stuck in their comfort zone. We all love our comfort zones. It's familiar, it's safe, and it's where we we have the most control. But life isn't always about being comfortable, is it? People who display emotional maturity understand this. They know that stepping out of their comfort zone, though scary, is essential for personal growth and development. They're not afraid to take risks, face new challenges, or embrace change. However, those lacking emotional maturity often resist stepping out of their comfort zone. They prefer to stick with what they know, avoid taking risks, and stay away from unfamiliar situations. It's not because they're lazy or afraid of hard work. It's because it's just that the uncertainty and potential discomfort associated with new experience can feel overwhelming. Unfortunately, staying stuck in one's comfort zone can lead to stagnation and missed opportunities. This is why it's crucial to develop emotional maturity and learn to embrace the unfamiliar. Now, this is a big one here, and because most expats have left their former comfort zone to come over here, and maybe it wasn't comfortable over there anymore, and they left to come over here to find their new comfort zone. And that is a huge truth over here with many expats, that they left their former comfort zone because it was getting uncomfortable. So to come over here, they don't want to put up with any more BS. They want to, so when somebody brings that into their realm, they get a little ticked off. I'll say that outright. They get mad, they get angry, and you have to realize we have to kind of respect each other's comfort zones in the Philippines over here, or wherever you may be as an expat. Expats are a different bird. We really are. We left our former comfort zone, our former country, to form a new comfort zone. And we really have to kind of mesh together if we're going to live near each other in another country. Some people like to totally get away from expats totally. They say, I left my country to get away from those people. I'm coming over here, and I'm here to get away from those, the people from my country. And I see a lot of that over here. And some of them just want to come in and mix in for like once a month or something like that, at our get-togethers or whatever. And sometimes you're better off being like that. In all honesty, I struggle sometimes over here being around a lot of expats, because expats can be difficult sometimes. I love everybody, but I do struggle sometimes with some of the expats that we get over here. We have a lot of struggles over here. I think any expat that lives in a community of expats will tell you it's a struggle. It's a struggle to live in those areas. Number 6, they struggle to communicate effectively. Communication is an art. It really is expressing our thoughts, emotions, needs, and desires in a way that others can understand is no small task. For those people with emotional maturity that mastered this art to a large extent, they know how to express themselves clearly, listen actively, and respond thoughtfully. Okay, on the flip side, those lacking emotional security often struggle with communication. They might not express their feelings openly, or could misinterpret what others are trying to convey. They also avoid difficult conversations or resort to passive aggressive behavior instead of addressing issues directly. We see a lot of passive aggressiveness over here. It's not that they're purposely trying to be difficult, they just haven't yet developed the skills to communicate effectively. We see a lot of problems over here with communication and communicating effectively over here. We have a lot of people, expats over here, who just don't want to hear you. You try to be friendly with them, you try to convey something to them, they just don't want to hear it. A lot of expats over here pretty much dug in their beliefs and stuff like that, and there's no getting past that. Some of the expats over here are very difficult with communication. They just, it's their way or the highway, and I think some of that might have to do with narcissism, past abuse, past psychological issues or something. But communication sometimes with other expats can be difficult. I mean, we all face that in the United States, and we're going to face it over here. And some of the guys say, Steve, I don't want to be dealing with these people because I just don't want to be around them. I'd rather be around Filipinos, and I fully get that. I work with expats daily, and it can be a struggle some days. It can be a struggle. It can be a struggle when you get to know people and you get to know their behaviors and passive aggressive behavior and mental health issues, and we see it with almost everybody to a certain extent. I mean, everybody has something wrong with them by the time they reach 60 years old, like I said earlier, or even 50. You've got something, you carry a certain amount of baggage with you. And, we talk about this often because I think it's very important. Number seven, they have difficulty letting go of the past. Now, this is an issue. It's kind of funny because I've gone through this, and I'm trying to let go of some things that have happened in the past year here. And it keeps bubbling up over here because people keep bringing it up. And it's like, I want to move on from that and go to my next phase of my life because that's where I want to be. I don't want to be back there. I want to be over here. And a lot of people don't understand that. And they keep bringing things up. And it's like, man, I don't want to hear that. Or some people do it on purpose just to aggravate you. And we have that too here. We all have a past, she says. It's a collection of experiences, memories, and lessons that shape who we are today. But for some, the past is more like a heavy anchor holding them back. And that's very true. People who lack emotional maturity often struggle to let go of past mistakes, failures, or hurts. They may dwell on the experiences, allowing them to influence their present behavior and future decisions. It's not that they enjoy being stuck in the past or that they're unwilling to move forward. It's just that they haven't learned how to process these experiences in a healthy way. And some people aren't done processing those things. I mean, excuse me. Sometimes you have to, before you let go of the past, you have to process all that you went through. And if you went through a really traumatic experience, sometimes it may take you a year or 6 months or 3 months to go through processing all that stuff. And she goes on to say, letting go of the past requires emotional maturity. It's about acknowledging what happened, learning from it, and letting go. Holding on to past hurts only hinders personal growth and can negatively impact current relationships and opportunities. Very, very true. Number 8, they lack self-awareness. We get a lot of that in the Philippines. They're not self-aware of what they're doing or they're, how they hurt people or things like that. Now, and it's a big one. The cornerstone of emotional maturity is self-awareness. It's the ability to recognize and understand our own moods, emotions, and drives and how they affect our behavior and relationships. People with emotional maturity have a good sense of self-awareness. They understand their strengths and weaknesses. They can identify their emotions, and they know how their actions impact others. Key right there. That's key. But for those lacking emotional security, self-awareness is often missing. They might not understand why they react the way they do or how their actions affect those around them. The lack of self-awareness can lead to repeated patterns of behavior that cause problems in their personal and professional lives. I think we all have a little bit of that, but by the time we hit our 60s, repeated patterns of behavior. I mean, I catch myself sometimes and stuff like this. I think we all do. It's all about improving yourself. You know, there really is no school of life except going through life and trying to, be your own teacher. And it says improving self-awareness is key to developing emotional maturity, allows us to understand ourselves better, make positive changes, and build healthier relationships. Now, she goes on with her final thoughts here, and then I'll give my final thoughts too. If you find yourself nodding along to these behaviors, don't worry. It doesn't mean you're doomed. Emotional maturity isn't an on-off switch. It's a continuum. Remember, we all have areas where we could use a bit of improvement. The key is self-awareness and a willingness to grow. Start by recognizing these behaviors in your daily life, understand what triggers them and how they impact your relationships and personal growth. Then make a conscious effort to respond differently. That's strong words right there. It might feel awkward initially, but with time, patience, and consistency, you'll see change. As the famous saying goes, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and that's huge. I want to say this. She says here, then make a conscious effort to respond differently. I'm going to go one step further. Sometimes take a breath. Before you start to speak, take a breath. So go, just breathe in and think about your words before those words come out of your mouth. And it'll probably be the best breath you've ever had of it, fresh air. Because it gives you that little extra time to think, and it also shows the person that you're thinking about what you're about to say before you say it, and it's just not something quick out of your mouth and you just shot it right out, the first thought that went in your mind, which is usually the worst one, and you cannot take back words. It's hard to take back words. Once they're out of your mouth, they're out there, and it's hard to back up and take that back. As expats, I see so many people getting pissed off all the time. Expats get angry about nothing sometimes, and sometimes they get angry about legitimate things. I've seen some pretty messed up things that some expats have done over here, and some people can be very self-destructive in their lifestyles and the way they live. Even I myself have a tendency now to kind of step back and move away from some people a lot more. And I know in this coming year, I mean, I have a lot of friends, a lot of people that I love in the expat community over here. And even I'm thinking about stepping back a little bit, It could be a bit much sometimes working with expats 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And this coming year, I'm going to have some changes. I'm going to share these things with you guys. I'm going to tell you things. It's not that I hate anybody or anything. I just come over here to retire and enjoy life a little more, and to be happy over here. And I see changes I need to make, and I know a lot of other expats over here saying the same things. They're seeing some of the things that go on in the expat community. I hear it from the guys down in Dumagetti. I hear it from Angeles. They all kind of realize that when you hang around the expat community, maybe it's too back home-ish. I don't know how to explain it, but that's the only way I can explain it. It's like it's like we brought our home here and we dumped it here. And some people have commented in the past that expats are not our best and brightest sometimes, and I don't know if I'd go that far. I just think that a lot of them, some come over here to just retire and have peace, and the other half takes that peace away from them. Okay, or other 30% or whatever it may be. I'm not sure what and I don't even like to throw numbers out there. I'd say about 30%, maybe 50%, who knows, that have some sort of issues. We see it, and when we get older, we always are going to have things happening to us constantly. You know, just like back home, it's going to happen over here too. Don't expect it to be different over here. Things are going to happen over here, both good and bad, just like they did back home. Can you avoid that? Yes, if you want to be a hermit, you know, but who wants to be a hermit? But you can kind of retreat back and stay to yourself more and stay to your family more. Stay with your girlfriend, go travel more, do things, meet people out, you know, out on the fly when you're traveling. That's the best way to meet people, because the next day you're probably not going to see them again. That's the good thing, you know, so you don't even really have a chance to really get to know them well enough to see who they are, you know, and then you just move on. And being with your family is also it's a good thing, you know. And I tell people, try not to get too many people into your circle of friends. Sometimes it's not good to have too many people in there, because you're going to be dealing with this stuff here, and it's a difficult thing to do. Anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's show. God bless, guys. Take care.